Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Outlaw Country. Coming to you today from the shop. Sorry, no beautiful hike on today's video. I was doing a little bit of work on my boat trailer a few days ago and tweaked my back pretty good again. And any of you that know me, been watching long enough, you know I got some pretty bad back issues. I herniated 3 discs in my back a few years ago. About 6 or 7 years ago now. Herniated L3, 4, and 5. And I was laid up severely for quite some time because of that. And every once in a while it flares up. And I was doing some work on the boat trailer and pushed a little too hard, did a little too much, and it flared up. And it's hurting. So, no hike today. But a couple of days I'll be good to go. I just need a little bit of a rest. So you're gonna have to you're gonna have to stare at the wall of memories while I do a quick follow-up video here for you guys. So my last video there, I shared with you guys a bunch of the experiences that I've had over the past 35 plus years. And of course, my memory sucks. And as I said in the video, there's probably some shit that I forgot to mention in there. And sure enough, there's a bunch of shit I forgot to mention. And I had quite a few comments from people asking, you know, elaborate on this and can you tell a little bit more about that or whatever. And so I thought before it got too far away from the last video, I thought I'd just do a quick follow-up video. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit on a couple of the incidents that took place with me. And I got a couple more, that I forgot to share at the time, which I knew I would. Got a couple more I forgot to share. So I will share those. And then on top of that, we'll see how much time we got. I might hammer off an email for you guys, get an email read for you. And we are going to do a couple of draws today on today's video. So we are actually going to do the draw for the night vision goggles. All right. We're going to do the draw for the night vision. And we are also going to do a draw today for an Outlaw Country coffee mug. What I've done is I have an app. Okay, and that app can access my YouTube, and it goes into subscribers. I can pick it to go to my subscribers, and I can pick it to go to my members. Okay, and I basically just direct the app where to go, hit the button. It takes like 15 seconds, and it picks a winner. So that's the way that I pick winners for draws. I've done a few in the past, and that's what I do. So what I'm going to do at the end here, we're going to do the draw for the 4K night vision. One of you guys is going to win that, and then I'm going to do a draw for the Outlaw Country coffee mug, and I'm going to do a draw for a coffee mug. I'm going to do one this week, and I'm going to do one next week for sure. Mrs. Outlaw has been kind enough to make me up about a half a dozen Outlaw Country mugs. And I've had a couple requests for cutting boards as well. So she's made up a couple of cutting boards that people have asked for. So if you want to purchase a mug, you can. I don't have a store or anything on YouTube, never will. I just don't have time for it. You know, Mrs. Outlaw made these mugs for me. She made me one, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And I just love it. And so she made these for me, and over the past year and a half or whatever it's been, a couple of years, people have asked if they could buy one, and I'm like, sure, absolutely. So I've had her make quite a few, and sent them to viewers that just want a coffee mug. So if you want a coffee mug, email me, and I'll get your address and send you one. The shipping on the coffee mugs ranges anywhere in the US. It ranges anywhere from about $25, $20 shipping to maybe like about $30 shipping. It's not cheap. I just ship Canada Post, which if you know if there's a better way to ship things, let me know. But I just ship via Canada Post. I have a small business account and I ship the stuff, and that's about what it costs. Other places in Europe and whatnot, I've shipped mugs and cutting boards that have, the shipping has been like $50 to $60 for shipping. So, you know, they're a 20 some odd dollar mug, but add 20 bucks or 30 bucks shipping, you can be 40 or $50 for a mug. So I get it, you know, but anyways, I'm gonna give a few away. So Mrs. Outlaw did an awesome job on these once again. So I'm gonna give a few of those away to you people. What else we got? What else we got? Oh, so we have a video. I have an email that was sent in with a video and pictures attached to it. And I don't know if you guys remember the short video clip I put up a little while ago from Mary. Mary lives in Haida Gwaii. Haida Gwaii is in British Columbia, the north coast of British Columbia, if you didn't know. Haida Gwaii is an island, and Mary lives there, and Mary was out on a hike and caught some pretty odd bellow, call, scream, roar, whatever you want to call it. She caught it on video on her cell phone while she was out on a hike to a lake, and she sent it in to me and asked me what I thought. Told her what I thought, played it for you guys. So there was a short clip of that a little while ago. Well, it just so happens that Mary's sister, Lynn also follows the channel, and Lynn has some stuff that she sent in to us, some recent activity from Haidaguay. So stay tuned for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of my stuff, and then I'm going to put the video and read the email from Lynn for sure. See how much time we got. Maybe go more from there. All right. And then, you know, I made a little list this time so I didn't forget, because I got a bad memory. Okay, don't need my glasses because I can remember now this time. It's hard when you're out on the bush, right? You're out in the bush, you're focused on your surroundings, you're focused on where you're going and watching where you walk and whatnot, and then I'm trying to remember all the things that have happened to me over the years to pass on to you guys. So one subscriber, or a couple subscribers actually, said to me, can you elaborate a little bit more on what you saw back in 1990? Yeah, I can. I can elaborate. So, because as when I talked to Steve about this, okay, I went to Steve Isdall about this, I don't know, a while ago, quite some time ago now, and I sat down with Steve. Well, we did a chat about what I had experienced up to that point. And so I explained it a little bit more in depth on Steve's channel, and I didn't do that for you guys, and I apologize. I have a hard time talking about myself, right? I do. So anyways, when I first laid eyes on one of these things, remember I was hunting, sheep hunting, California bighorn sheep, and I was northwest of Lillooet, and the creature stood up, and I thought it was a bear, thought it was a black bear, possibly a grizzly, stood up and took off heading for the jack pines away from me. And as I put my rifle scope on this thing, I remember putting my rifle scope up on it, and I mean, you got to remember this is a long time ago, but I was nervous as hell. I I probably wasn't even nervous. I was scared. Let's face it. I was scared. And anyways, I had my scope up on this thing, and it was, it was just your typical description. The hair on it looked much similar to, much the same as a black bear. Maybe a little bit longer, possibly. I would say maybe a maybe a late winter bear, fall bear, or very early spring bear. When they've got that long hide, the only thing is the hide, the hair. We call it a hide. The hair looked all matted. It looked very matted and very unkept. And it was, I'm guessing, right? I was 300 yards from this thing. And I think I don't even know what power my scope was on, to be totally honest with you, but I had a very good view of this thing. And it was such a close resemblance. The face was such a close resemblance to a person. It was spooky. And it looked like an old man. It looked like this being looked very old to me, very weathered. The skin just looked like leather. And there was a lot of gray in around the neck area and the head area, like the face area, not hair all over the face, but the hair on the face was very gray. And and I remember telling Steve, when the thing turned and looked at me, I just got the overwhelming feeling of like it looked sad. And I know that sounds strange, but it looked like something that had lived a long time and was just tired. You know what I mean? I don't really know how else to explain it. It's really difficult to explain, but it just looked like something that was done, like that had put in a life and was near the end of it and was just tired. And it's funny because we're talking a second or two. We're talking 1 or 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like 1 and 2 gone. Or maybe total time maybe 5 to 7 seconds total time. But that amount of time that I had the scope on it, we're talking 1 or 2 seconds. So quick that it happened. But again, it was almost as if time stood still. It felt like minutes, and it was literally probably seconds, right? But yeah, leathery skin. It's just something that's ingrained in your mind. Yeah, you try to put it out of your mind for many, 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 many years. For me, I try to put it out of my mind for over 30 years, plus years, and told one person about it. But when you really think back and dig back into the memory bank, it's just such a vivid picture. And like I say, best description for that subscriber asked that question. The best description I can give you is your typical description. The face looked a lot more human than animal by a long shot. The skin looked like a baseball mitt, like a black baseball mitt, and just wrinkled and weathered, and it looked thick and grayish colored hair. But yeah, it looked sad and tired. It looked like a sad old man. So anyways, that's kind of the best I can do with description on that. Not bad for 35 years ago, right? What else we got? Okay, so the other thing, another one that I totally forgot about. Don't mind me, I'm going to pour myself another cup of coffee because I've only had 1 cup of coffee. I need a second for sure. So this wasn't even all that long ago. I'm going to say, like, if it was last fall, it was maybe last fall, so a year ago, coming up on a year now. And as I said to you all, I've had a lot of experience. Different things happen up at this lake of mine that I go to, where my cabin is. Okay, and my cabin is about a half an hour from a very tiny little town, and it's about a half an hour drive from that town to my cabin, and then from my cabin to where I park my side-by-side to hike into my lake is about an hour ride on the side-by-side. So it's quite a ways away. And then it's about an hour and a half hike from where I park the side-by-side into the lake. So it's very remote. It's way out there. And as I've said in the past, I found out after talking with Steve Isdahl that that area where that lake is just a real hot spot. There's a ton of activity out there. There has been for many, many years. There's a First Nations community out there, and there's been a ton of activity around that First Nations community forever. And Steve actually had some ladies from that community on his YouTube channel, and just sharing some of the stuff that they've experienced over the years. So and I know some of the, and there's another First Nations native community. So the one that Steve that I was just talking about, that one is to the east of where the lake I go to, and there's another one to the west of the lake that I go to, very small one. And they're both very remote, very isolated, and I know a few people at that reserve, and I've talked to them over the past few years, and it takes some prying, but they'll come forth and explain what they've seen, and they've seen these things going back and forth to town on the main gravel road. There's a big lake that you have to drive by to get to the community, and they've seen these things cross on the road many times, and they talk about it. They won't just talk openly, but like I say, I know a few of them, and they've talked to me about it, so it's a bit of a hot spot. So I think it was last spring, or maybe a little bit longer ago, I went up for a weekend of fishing into the lake, and I took my day pack and just my tarp and my sleeping bag and a little bit of food. Went up. My plan was to spend a couple of nights up there and just fish, because it's, like I say, it's a long ways in there. So I went in, did my thing, and I found a spot underneath these large cedar trees that was a good spot to lay my tarp down and my sleeping bag, and that's where I was going to camp out and have a little fire and whatnot. So I got camp kind of all situated and set up, and my day pack that you guys always see me wear, I hung that up on this branch of the cedar tree, right kind of where my head was going to be, maybe 4 feet off the ground. And anyways, I went out fishing fished that day, and came back into my little camp area, got a fire going, and now it's evening time, so I get a fire going and whatnot, having something to eat, and I could have swore I heard something across the lake, and so I stop and I listen, and I've heard them before. I've heard things before across the lake, trees being banged on hard, rocks being rolled down from these rock bluffs, and Mrs. Outlaw and I heard some distinct whooping sounds in there, and tree banging. Anyways, across the lake, it's not very far across at this one bay where I camp, and then up into the rock bluff is where I heard it, and I'm like, I could have swore I heard it. And then I heard a couple of bangs for sure. So I'm like, oh God, great. So anyways, did my thing, had my dinner, went to bed, and then in the middle of the night, I woke up, like out of a dead sleep, woke up, and I could have swore I heard like a very deep whooping sound, and I was just like, oh shit. And I did have my Defender with me, and I had bear spray and everything else, but whatever. I know that no gun of any kind is, if it's one of these beings, no gun's gonna do any good. So anyhow, very sleepless night that night, and I decided, I went out fishing the next morning, and I decided I'm not spending another night. I'm gonna get the hell out of there. And so I cut that trip a night short, and I headed back for the cabin. And I get back to the cabin and get all my shit put away and whatnot, and do my thing, go to bed that night. And I woke up in the middle of the night and look at my cell phone, and it's like 2:30 in the morning. And I don't know what woke me up, but I woke up, and as I woke up, I heard something walk on the gravel driveway outside my bedroom window. So my bedroom is on the lower floor. It's got a loft in the cabin, but my bedroom's down below, and the gravel driveway goes right past my bedroom window to where I park my truck. And I hear something walking on the gravel, which isn't a huge deal because we do have a lot of bears, a lot of cougars up there, deer, whatever. And they've walked right up to the cabin. I've had bears peeking in the kitchen window before. Anyhow, so I didn't pay too much attention to the walking, but I'm like, huh. And then it stops. And I thought, geez, I should get up and see what it is. And I was gonna get up out of bed and open the blind and look out the window. And then I hear this thing starting to take a piss. And it sounded like a garden hose running. It sounded like somebody turned my garden hose on. It was running the garden hose in the gravel. It was that loud. It was incredible. And again, yeah, I mean, bears can piss on the gravel for sure. What was crazy was how long it lasted. I didn't time it obviously, but it seemed like it lasted for 20 or 30 seconds at least. It was incredible, and the sheer volume of this thing peeing was crazy. And what's wild is I wanted to get up and look out. I was gonna, like, I'm like, I gotta get up and see what the hell this is. And I couldn't get out of bed. I was literally frozen in my bed. I could not move. And I'm like, come on, get up. It's not, whatever. I'm inside the cabin. If it's a fucking Sasquatch, it's a Sasquatch. I couldn't get up. And I laid there and I listened to this thing, and it finally stopped. And then I hear about 6 or 8 more steps. Nothing, silent. And of course it's forest. So I got like a 20-foot wide driveway, and it's forest for hundreds and hundreds of miles. Anyhow, that was something else. And then, so what tops that all off is I get home from that trip, and I think I stopped at Steve's house on the way home and had a bullshit with him, and I was telling him about this thing pissing in my driveway, and he's like, dude, that's not good. Like, when they come into your home, that's bad. And anyways, I believe I was stopped and told Steve all about that, and had a bullshit with him. And then I got home and I was unloading my day pack that I took with me to the lake. I'm unloading my day pack, getting leftover food and shit out of there. And what do I find? I find a frickin' bear claw. I find a bear claw. And when I found this thing had hair still on it, black bear hair, and chunks of flesh on the claw in my pack, at the bottom of my pack, that was hung on the tree out by the lake. And I was like, okay, well, that's effed up. I could not believe it. And so I was in the shop here cleaning my pack out, and I set the thing on the table, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I took a couple pictures of it, and I called Steve. I think I FaceTimed him, and I'm like, dude, you're not gonna believe this. This is freaking bizarre. Look what I found. And I showed him, and he was just like, what? And I'm like, I know. Anyways, how it got there, don't know. I was sound asleep, which scares the shit out of me. I was sound asleep. Something happened. Something went down. Somehow that claw got into my pack. I didn't see anything. In the driveway, something walked up my driveway. Something pissed in my driveway. And the way I look at things is it likely that it was a bear that did this? It's possible, but it's not likely. That's the way I look at things. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but it's very unlikely. Did the bear try to get into my pack when I was out fishing or when I was sleeping and its claw get ripped off in my pack? Possibly, but not likely. That's the way I look at it. So anyhow, So I had those two things. And then the last one I'm going to just mention here real quick is a bit of a difficult one, because I did talk about this with Steve as well. So again, this is going back to around the same period in time. Maybe this might have even been before. I just can't completely remember the timing and the date, but this might have been before this incident happened. And I was out there at the lake again fishing. I go up there quite a bit, so I was up there fishing again. And I had just hiked in early morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I get to the lake, hour and a half hike, get into the lake. And as I'm walking in, literally every hair on my body stood on end. And I just stopped at there's a little bit of a trail that goes down to the lake where the boat is. And I just stopped, and I was like, almost had shivers, goosebumps, hair standing up in the back of my neck. And I'm like, holy shit. This is not how I want to start my day. And I was standing there. Again, I had my Defender, but I was standing there, and I just had that feeling something was right near me. And I didn't hear anything, I didn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, and I know it sounds crazy, but all of a sudden, as clear as a bell, I heard this voice. And I don't know if the voice was out loud or not, or if it was in my head, but it sounded like to me, I heard it. And this thing said, this voice said, yes, you can trust him. He's a good man, but make sure you keep your circle small. That's what it said. That's the voice that I heard. And I'd never had anything like that ever happen to me before. I've had premonitions, and I've had, the voice in your head. But this to me sounded like something, and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm kind of looking around, and I'm going, did I just hear that, or was that in my head? And what did it mean? And it's funny, again, I decided not to go down to the lake. I had just hiked all the way in there. I stood there for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, staring at the lake down below me, never went down. I turned around and I left. And on the way out, that's all I could think about. That's all I could think about. Yes, he's a good man, but keep your circle small. I'm going, what the fuck does that mean? And on the way out, I remembered that on the way in, I started putting pieces together in my head, and I remember on the way in that I was, no offense, but I was just questioning what I could talk to Steve about, because I'd talk to him quite a bit. I'd pop in and see him. We'd have visits and chats, and I was trying to tell him everything that had transpired over my life. And I'm like, that's what I was thinking about, kind of going in there, is like, can I tell Steve about this? Can I tell him about that? Or should I not tell him about this? Or should I not tell him about that? So, was that voice in my head? Was it something in fact there? I don't know. But it was very, very clear. And it was at that point that I decided that I could pretty much tell. I felt like I could tell Steve anything. And I did. And I shared a ton of shit with him about this topic and other stuff and personal stuff and whatever. And what's very ironic is I told Steve that and he goes, what was the most significant thing that you heard? And people call it mind speak. I don't know if it's mind speak or whatever it is, but that phrase, keep your circle small, resonated with me so deeply. And I was just like, okay, I do have a small circle. I don't have a vast number of friends, but the friends I have are very close, very good friends. So that really resonated with me. And what's really wild is after I said that, and Steve and I talked about it, later on, Steve shared some pretty awesome things with me and personal things with me and whatnot. And I thought that was very cool. So anyways, those are the other encounters that took place. And I I think I covered everything that time. I think I got it all that time. Man, I can't believe that I forgot to mention some of that stuff. But anyhow. I hope I didn't miss any of this thing this time, you guys. And if I did, I'll catch it another time. So I wanted to share with you guys the email from Lynn. Okay, Lynn's from Haida Gwaii. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this email, and then there's pictures. So Lynn's daughter, who lives in Haida Gwaii as well, was out walking on the beach and has pictures of tracks going down the beach. And the tracks are 20 inches long and about 6 inches wide. And I'm going to read you her email. So there's pictures. I'm going to throw the pictures up, and there's also the video clip of that she took while she was in her backyard. And I'm going to read the email, but I want you to remember when you listen to the video clip, what I found fascinating about the video clip is that Lynn's daughter has, I believe, 2 children in the backyard with her, and you can tell by listening in the video they're very young. And Lynn's daughter ushers the kids into the house when they hear this thing howling, because all the local dogs in the neighborhood start going nuts. Lynn's daughter ushers the kids into the house, and the kids, listen to the kids in the video. The kids are like, "That's a Sasquatch, that's a Sasquatch. We're scared of the Sasquatch." And you can hear the sincerity in the kid's voice. And how many young children that age know about Sasquatch? Okay, so these children are obviously brought up knowing that these things exist, knowing what they sound like, and knowing that they're there. And these are little kids. So you'll listen to that video, pay attention to the children there. Anyhow, I'm going to read Lynn's email. Good evening. Thank you for providing your email on your 35 years video today. My cousin Mary, who sent you a video recently of a short howl recorded at Spirit Lake on Haida Gwaii, gave me your video channel name, and I will be watching regularly. I worked in forestry and have had many experiences myself throughout the years. I would be happy to share them with you one time. Today I'm sending you a clip my daughter recorded one morning a couple years ago while playing in her backyard with her kids. She knew immediately it was a Sasquatch because it was so powerful. She did not think to record until a few minutes into the howling, but she managed to catch quite a bit. The howls were so loud that it prompted the neighborhood dogs to start barking. You will hear them as well. I've sent you a map along with a video for reference to see the close proximity to Mary's recording at Spirit Lake and to where my daughter lives and the area in which she felt the howls were coming from. Let me know what you think. Sincerely, Lynn. So here's the video of the howls. Listen to the kids.
That's a Sasquatch. That's a Sasquatch.
Stop! We're scared of a Sasquatch. Don't let it see you.
It's far away. It's up in the bush, and it's making the dogs bark all around the neighborhood.
I know, they're the weirdest moments of my life.
That's a Sasquatch. That's a Sasquatch.
Stop! We're scared of a Sasquatch. Don't let it see you.
It's far away. It's up in the bush, and it's making the dogs bark all around the neighborhood.
I know, they're the weirdest moments of my life.
All right, what do you think of that? And I'm going to show you right here the pictures on the beach. And I asked Lynn, because looks like there's two sets of tracks, and it's not. It's one set of tracks. It's one set of tracks that came out of the timber, walked down towards the water, and then made a circle and came back up. And I asked Lynn, responded to Lynn, and I said, is there two sets of tracks here? It looks like there's two of them. Here's what she said. Have a look at the tracks first. And Lynn said, no, there was one. It walked in a circle. If you zoom in, you can see. I have had interesting conversations with people regarding the size of the track and the fact that they are on the edge of a falling tide. I checked the tide table that day, and the tide was highest at about 5 p.m. We were on site about 7:30 p.m. It walked through the water enough to create funnels in the footprint, but at most 2 to 3 waves passed over the tracks. Not enough, in my opinion, to create size 20 footprints. Also, as I mentioned, that I had spoke with 3 different individuals that had experiences that summer in that area. All 3 lived across the street from where these tracks were. One lady and her partner, while walking their tiny dog, watched the huge creature go 3 times to the water edge before returning to the woods. It was towering above the 8-foot spruce trees. I measured where it re-entered the woods. They said it did a strange thing with its arms before heading back into the bush. It appeared to be praising the forest. That's from Lynn. Appreciate it, Lynn, very much. And I'm going to get a hold of Lynn for sure. As Lynn mentioned, she worked in forestry, so I'm going to get a hold of Lynn and have a good chat with her, and I'd like her to share her other experiences that she's had over the years. So let's see how we're looking for time here. You know what? I think we got time. I think we got time that we can probably. I think we got time we can probably read an email. I think we got time we can read an email. Okay, here we go. Hi, Darren. I decided to share my... Oh, sorry, you guys. Hang on. Try that again. Hi, Darren. I decided to share my first encounter with these people with you. They are very real, and after almost 40 years looking for them, I've learned they mostly can't be trusted. This is kind of long, but it was almost a 2-hour visual on this creature. It was the last 2 weeks of deer season in 1987, and me and my late dad's best friend and I were going to do the 2 weeks, or until we fill our tags. My dad had passed the year before, so I took his place. I grew up with him, and he was like my dad, the next best thing. We were hunting alongside the Madeira Peaks, just outside of Yosemite Park. And 9 days into the hunt, we weren't seeing any bucks. So we came up with a plan to go up this dead-end road that leads to a trailhead to these high mountain lakes. We got there about 2 hours before the sunrise, and the plan was to wait until we could see enough to walk without flashlights, hike over the ridge and into the little lakes area, hoping the bucks were up in that area. About 15 minutes into the wait, I see a bush shaking. It looked like a bear was half in a bush doing something, and I got excited as I had drawn a bear tag that year. I had even brought my dad's Weatherby 300 mag just for that and was ready to get my bear. Well, the bear stood up, and it was a man. I could only see his silhouette against the sky as it was too dark to make out anything else, but it looked like he was wearing all black. I could see that he didn't have a gun or a light, and it looked like he had a big, puffy coat. He had a big chest that narrowed to a narrow waist with long legs, and his arms were kind of long. He started walking down the ridge towards us, but he was moving like he was stalking something. We couldn't see anything else around, so it seemed weird for him to do that. He would take about 3 to 4 steps and stop for 5 to 10 minutes. He was totally still and not moving at all when he would stop. He kept doing that as he came down towards us. It was getting lighter and lighter as he came closer to us. When he was about halfway, I would say about 400 yards, we started to realize we were not watching a man. It looked like a man, but he was all black. And that puffy coat was just how big he was in the torso. As we realized it wasn't a man, I was trying to figure out what it was and was thinking, it's a Bigfoot. My hair was standing up on my body and I had goosebumps all over me. My eyes were watering and I was kind of freaking out. When he was about 30 yards from us, he stopped and was frozen as he looked off to my left. He was all black, like a black lab color, except for around his eyes. The skin on his face was reddish light brown in the shape of a diving mask. I asked Mike if he had the binoculars because I wanted to really look at his face. We were in a truck with a big overhead camper, and he said they were in the camper, so I decided to use the 6x9 scope on the Weatherby. But it was too long to get in a good position. I decided to open the door and put the rifle between the door and the cab to look at him. As soon as I moved the door handle, it clunked. He quickly turned his head and looked at me. I quickly jumped out into position and he began to run right in front of me to my right, and he was moving. He was moving fast and smooth. He ran like the ninjas in martial arts movies and faster than anything I had ever seen. So fast I couldn't drop my eye in the scope, so I just followed him, waiting for the moment I could. Mike was yelling at me, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, he is a human," over and over, but I had no intention of shooting. I had the thought that there was more than one, and it would be a serious mistake to shoot him. I had the visual in my mind that if I had shot him, and as I was making sure he was dead, another one would run up and get me. He ran to the only large ponderosa pine and disappeared behind it. I dropped my eye in the scope looking for him to continue running, but he never came out. I turned to Mike, who was still yelling, and told him I wasn't going to shoot him. He was so fast. He just ran about 75 yards in 4 seconds. I wanted to go after him just to see him again, but couldn't make my legs go that way. I felt I could run the other way though. As I got myself composed, I decided to go to where he started to run. I was going to start there and follow his tracks to the tree. When I got to where he was standing, I saw that his feet were huge, like 20 or more inches. I started looking for his next track and found it 15 feet away. I was like, no way. I'm missing one between these two. As I got to the second one, I was scanning for the next one, and it was about 15 foot away again. I was now tripping out on the distance between tracks. When I got to the tree, I could see where he slid on the pine needles about 3 to 4 feet and started to turn back up the hill he just came down. The tracks were now closer together, about 6 or 7 feet, and his toes were slinging pine needles and dirt back about 4 feet. I followed them up the hill into some brush. It was so thick, I decided I wasn't going any further. He might be waiting for me in there, so I turned around and looked for the truck. I couldn't see the truck. He had used the tree to put between him and us to escape. That right there freaked me out. Nothing I ever hunted knew to do that. I quickly turned back around to scan the brush and realized he was frickin' huge. I had watched him walk down through the brush to us, and that brush was 3 feet above my head. That would be where his belly button would be. Then I put together that with the distance between tracks, and it all made sense. He was huge. He was cut like a bodybuilder, faster than anything, and a giant. I quickly made my way back to the truck and told Mike I was going home. I was not going to go another minute here. It took me 6 years to get enough courage to go camping again. And I wouldn't go alone. I would never be comfortable in the woods ever again. Ever. Since then, I've seen them 4 more times and have many more encounters where I didn't see them. I've learned over the years that they usually run with 2 or more of them. I've been roared at and have had 3 trees pushed over right near me and seen one of them go down. They were broke off at about 10 feet and they were huge mature pine trees. Thank you so much for your channel and for sharing the outdoors. Love hiking with you in beautiful country. God's country for sure. Allan. Wow. Thanks, Allan. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. You know, so many similarities between all of these encounters, so many different encounters. And it just makes you wonder, you know, do these things not intend for you to see them and you just stumble upon them, or are they showing themselves to you for a reason? Is there a reason? And I think there's a reason. I don't think you're just stumbling upon them. I think you're far too intelligent for that. And even the most seasoned bushman just does not have the senses that a creature or an animal that lives in the forest, we don't have the senses that they have. That's why animals that live in the forest, their smell and their hearing is far superior to ours. Okay, sometimes their eyesight's not, but if their eyesight's poor, okay, their smelling and their hearing is superior to ours, hundreds of times better than ours. And some animals have the sight, smell, and hearing. All right, sheep, wild sheep can see for miles. Goats can see for miles without binoculars. All right, naked eye, they can see for miles. You know, bears, other wild animals can smell and hear. So, you know, I don't think we're stumbling upon these things, these beings. They're showing themselves for a reason. That's my opinion, just my opinion. I think maybe once in a blue moon, if you're in a vehicle or something like that and one crosses the road, maybe. But again, you don't think they can hear a car coming? Come on. They know, and they're choosing to be seen at that moment. That's just my opinion. Thanks, Allan. I appreciate it, man. I'm going to get a hold of you. So, Allan, I'm not going to share Allan's YouTube handle because maybe he doesn't want me to, but I'm going to get a hold of Allan and have a chat with him because there's obviously more people I need to get a hold of. Not enough hours in the day. I got to get a hold of Lynn, got to get a hold of Mary, got to get a hold of Allan. So many more, and I will. Bear with me. All right, bear with me. We'll get her done. Maybe Allan will come on and have a live with us. Maybe Lynn will come on and have a live with us. Maybe Lynn and her daughter will both join us for a live, and we can hear more from Haida Gwaii. But anyhow, Allan, appreciate it, brother, and you be safe out there. I'm glad after 6 years you were able to get back out into the woods again. That's super important, because I'd hate to see something you love being taken from you. So anyhow, you know what, you guys, I gotta rock and roll. I've been sitting here far too long now. Oh, you know what? We can't go anywhere yet because we got to do the draw. we got to do the draw. We got to do the draw for the night vision, 4K night vision. Muse 4K night vision, all right? We got to do the draw. So, who's going to be the lucky winner? So we are going to, so here's what we're doing. Some people are going to hate me. Is what it is. Some people aren't. I hope you all understand. What we're going to do is this night vision here, okay? This night vision is going to be drawn to a member. All right, somebody that's joined the membership part of the channel. And as I said, this night vision is going to go to a member. All right. The Outlaw Country coffee mug is this week is going to go to just a subscriber, random, anyone. All right. And then we have another draw coming up next week for the Acaso Seymour night vision goggles. That draw is going to be open to every single subscriber, not just members. So members, all subscribers, and then next week the Acaso will go to all subscribers, and we'll do another mug or two, we'll see, to the members. All right. Okay, let's do the draw. So I basically, all right, start. It's counting down. We have a winner. We have a winner. Our winner is of this 4K night vision binoculars is Robert Dewey. Robert Dewey. So Robert, congratulations, brother. What you need to do is email me, outlawcountry1896@gmail.com. Email me, Robert, and we'll correspond. You'll give me your address, and I will get these bad boys in the mail and sent off to you. All right, congratulations. And congratulations, Robert. We have 26 members right now, and I appreciate you members. I appreciate everybody that just subscribes. I appreciate the support. And I'm just trying to be fair to everybody. I promised the members that there would be some special little perks for members, and that's why I've decided to do it this way for this giveaway. As I said, there's going to be giveaways next week for subscribers, and we're going to do the exact same draw. We're going to do the exact same draw for the Outlaw Country coffee mug, but we are going to just do the draw with all subscribers, excuse me. So we just open up the app again. Open up the app. And start. Start. There we go. Counting down. Counting down for the Outlaw Country coffee mug. And we got a winner. We have a winner. The winner of the Outlaw Country coffee mug for all subscribers is Carol Oakes. Carol Oakes, Ochs. So Carol, Carol, last name Oaks, Ochs. So Carol, you're going to do the same as Robert, and you're going to email me, outlookcountry1896@gmail.com, and I'm going to get your address, and I'm going to fire an Outlaw Country coffee mug into the mail for you. All right? So we have our membership giveaway. We have our subscriber, 12,000 subscribers now. Wild. We have our subscriber giveaway, and then next week we're going to do the giveaway for the Castle Seymour night vision goggles, and we'll probably do at least another coffee mug, and those will both go to, likely, for sure the night vision goggles will go to anybody that's a subscriber, and the Outlaw Country coffee mug maybe to just a member. We'll see. We'll play that by ear. So, all right, I have got to get going. There, we had our draws. You guys got the rest of your encounters shared. So thanks to everybody for emailing in. Take care. Be safe. And more importantly than anything, be a good person. Be kind. Do something nice for someone. All right? Okay, guys, I'm out of here. I got to roll.